Hi everyone, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amber.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we're going to be talking about garden magic, gardening magically. And we're going to be talking about this with a tornado witch.
Yeah.
If our alarm goes off, I'm like, hold on,
yeah,
guys.
we might
Beep.
yeet out of here and finish on a different, we'll see. But, I love that we're doing this because one of my, so I started into the craft in many different ways, but I didn't necessarily buy myself any specific books on the craft in my first, because I lived in small towns in the South and I didn't know where the fuck.
Well,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
And I grew up in a household where you weren't supposed to be pagan. It wasn't even like they weren't even super Christian. It was just like don't be.
I don't think my parents would have ever thought about it, and at the same time they don't care, which is cool for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why it gave me the freedom when I was like 13 years old to start going out into that.
They're like,
world.
that's Amber, that's a phase.
Well,
it's phase, Mom.
The way it came out in my head in a shower thought at some point recently was, I've been a witch for the past 27 years. I was born a pagan.
I like that. I like that very much.
Because like truly, like even though I might have been raised a Presbyterian and had like the Bible spoon-fed to me, I also was raised by very open-minded individuals who allowed me the freedom to like learn about other stuff and explore it and discover that, what the Christian church had to offer was not for me. But that said, like, so when Corey and I got married, our first Christmas together, I guess he was trying to be like really like we had just gotten married 6 months prior. You know what I mean? So like we were teenage parents. So like maybe we were like at the point of knowing each other. Like, wait. What? Yeah, at Christmas, we'd known each other for about a year. Yep, we were already married for 6 months, had a kid. We'd known each other for about a year. So anyway, I think he was trying to like show that he really paid attention to my interests and like who I was and whatever. And he got me my first books on paganism. And my favorite one to this day, which I will get signed this summer, is Ellen Dugan's Garden Witchery.
I love that Ellen Dugan was both of our first pagan books. Like, because I read her Practical Protection Magic. I love it.
She is also gonna have a book signed this summer. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have our only guest on the regular show ever if I can.
I'm gonna ask her.
I'm not gonna outright ask her, but I am gonna fucking mention our podcast like nobody's business.
You're like, yeah, like it's cool. You should check it out.
Yeah, exactly. Because like
we have guests all the time.
Yeah. Well, because like so Corey is gonna because I have this thing where I'm gonna be in Salem with Ellen Dugan and I'm gonna get a book signed, and we're each gonna get a book signed, and he doesn't care. And so originally my mom was like, well, you can just get 2 books of yours signed by Ellen Dugan. He can take one and you take one. And I was like, oh my God, you're a fucking genius. And then I thought, well, I can get one signed, and then he can say, please make it out to Maddie. And Maddie can get
I have to
signed.
get my, okay, when are you going? Because I have to get my
first week of June.
Okay, so we have a month. I have to get my book, Practical Protection Magic. It's purple. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yes. So like, she's great. She actually lives in the same state as us. So in my, main character head, I was like, one day we're just gonna cross paths and I'll recognize her, which I fucking wouldn't. I guarantee you I wouldn't like recognize her. I think I really wouldn't.
She's like, hey, are you Amber?
Yeah. Follow you on Facebook.
Right?
Bitch, what? No, I'm just kidding. But Garden Witchery was my first real, like, because he got me some other ones. Like one was called Signs, Symbols, and Omens. And I actually, I gave it away at PPD last year, donated it to be sold for the, And so I'm excited to have this episode because garden witchery is really where I started broadening
Mhm.
what I was like. I was on a path that I had an idea of what I wanted, but I was starting out as a teenager, right?
Mhm.
Because mind you, I got married as a teenager. I had just turned 18 2 months before I got this book. So I was still a teenager. And so it helped. It genuinely shaped, bless you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. This book genuinely shaped some of my viewpoints on plants and witchcraft.
Mhm.
So like garden witchery is almost the backbone of everything else that I've ever done. So I'm excited to talk about this and garden magic, like because from like green witchcraft, hedge witchcraft, kitchen witchcraft,
Mhm.
garden witchery is incredibly important.
It is. So I think maybe we should start out with planting with intention. Then we'll start at the very seed of the conversation, if you will. LOL.
Wow, I didn't mean to shimmy so much.
But you know what
sorry.
I do, or
Yeah.
I didn't this time around, but what I usually do is I will go through with I plant in pots, Amber plants in the ground, I plant in pots. So if you're going to be planting in pots, I like to smoke cleanse my pots.
I
and
do
then
that
like
when
you
yeah.
do.
Well, because like sometimes we do like starters and stuff,
Uh-huh.
like when it, but
When it's starting.
yeah, like in because you can plant starters in the ground, right?
Right.
And so you start those in like either trays or their own individual
Right.
pots.
Mhm.
And so I do that too. I agree.
So I do
love
do
that.
like to do a little cleansing right there, but not just a cleansing, but also a blessing.
Yes.
A
I agree.
blessing of like prosperous growth,
fertility,
and abundance as
Yes.
well.
Strength.
Like, I like
success.
to. I haven't because I mean I got crows in my yard, yo. But like when I first was starting and I was planting on pots and putting them on my porch instead of
Mhm.
like out in the yard, I would put a crystal in with each plant.
I
I'm
remember
not,
that at your old house.
Yes. I'm not
You
doing
had
that anymore.
so many plants on your porch at your old house. It was so great. I loved your
Crystals.
porch. Sorry.
Crows like sparklies.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to fuck with my plant.
Right.
So like be smart with this blessing. But like
I counter that you could probably leave them some shinies,
Mhm.
and not only will they leave your crystals alone, but they'll be your friends and bring you other things.
I wish my crows were my friend. I love them so much, but they yell at me all the time. They yell at me all the time. They yell at me when I go out back. I don't know if you saw I came out today and they were like, quack, quack, and I looked back and I was like, what did I do to you? Like,
I think they're territorial.
They are
animals,
very territorial.
But also, maybe they're trying to communicate with you. They're
Maybe.
incredibly intelligent
Well,
animals,
they
and they
are.
realize that you are a resident
Mhm.
where they are a resident.
Mhm.
Ergo, are you part of their flock?
I wonder. I didn't even think about that because they are very
They are
intelligent.
so intelligent.
And they're very territorial. They'll let me know what's in the garden. If something's outside that's not supposed to be, I got guard crows.
Yep.
Fuck with me. That's so witchy, isn't it? I got
Yeah.
guard crows. They fucking let me
Fuck
know.
yeah.
I'm like, caw, caw, caw. I look out the window. There's like a possum or something that is not supposed to be in the yard. Now, I will say they're kind of assholes in the sense that like my cat was sitting in the window and a crow literally dove at the window and pecked at the window trying to get my cat.
But I mean, birds do that.
They
And I mean,
do.
it makes sense because
They don't like me. They're like, you got the motherfucking cats.
you
in
got
there."
2 cats in there. We can smell them bitches.
They do
I don't know.
not.
I wonder. I don't know. But like, having that ecosystem part of the
Mhm.
garden, whether you're planting in pots
Mhm.
or directly in the ground, that's also, like, in my opinion, incredibly important,
Mhm.
as we will discuss, because once that seed gets planted. Okay, so wait, we talked about sorry, I'm trying to keep it in like the
Blessing-
order. Yeah.
Blessing the
Blessing the
things,
things.
and then now we're planting
Right.
the seed.
And now we're planting the seed, because like I also, when I'm cleaning up my garden and preparing it for planting, I do bless it. And I ask like Mother Mokosh to bless the ground, because she is the fertile earth mother and I want her to help grow my crops. You know what I mean? And so like I bless it and / request from my working deity to help carry that crop forward. You know what I mean? And to me, like I feel like that's like very similar to doing it with the pot versus doing it in the ground.
Oh,
You know,
I
the
think
same
so.
way.
I think so. I do, because you know, if you're planting in pots, you can still ask, for example, Mother Gaia if you work
Mhm.
with Gaia, Demeter if you work with Demeter. I'm Hellenic, so that's the what I'm going to use. Amber said Mokosh, whatever the hell y'all use in a respectful way. You can ask them for blessings while using
And-
pots as well, because they are plants. They are plants themselves, you know, like.
And I would also say, you know, like we're speaking about specific earth deities,
Mhm.
but if you don't work with an earth deity and you don't want to ask them for assistance because you don't really pay them homage,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with asking your other, like whatever deity you work with, if you're
Uh-huh.
comfortable with wanting them to bless the land that you're planting your food in, because this is your food, this is your sustenance. You're going to be using these things for your own health and your
Mhm.
own sustainment of life, right?
Mhm.
So I say this from a standpoint of, if you work with something like maybe Loki, like I don't know, like if you're comfortable asking for that, cool. But also think about who you're asking things from when you're doing it, because
Maybe
you
I
are going
wouldn't.
to be ingesting.
Persephone, oh my god, Persephone. I was like, oh, that'd be great, because she is the goddess of spring, and where she walks, spring flowers, not just flowers, but spring plants bloom, you know? But would I ask Thanatos? Probably not, no, because he's the god of death, and I think that would probably probably do the opposite of what you're asking, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, like you can look at it from different perspectives, and that
right.
is exactly why I brought that up, because like, look, I don't work with Thanatos, don't know that much about Thanatos. Veles is the god of death and the
Uh-huh.
underworld, and I would totally have no
Right.
problem reaching out to him, right? And because it's all a cycle of life,
Mhm.
the things that are
Oh, nice.
feeding my plants
Mhm.
are dead matter.
I like that. I actually like that, because you have that mentality, and then it's like they are blessing it. I do like that.
Yeah, so and I'm not saying like you should do that with
No, but
Thanatos,
I get
but
you.
I'm saying like there are all sorts of different ways, but also again, like trickster gods, you maybe don't want them
Right.
involved with what you're ingesting. Maybe you do. That's totally cool. I'm just putting out there as a disclaimer. That's all.
I have to
That's
say,
just putting out the disclaimer when I say we could go wider than earth spirits, because you also could do air and water spirits.
oh, absolutely. Like, I don't know much. I just gotta say, I don't know much about Thanatos, but I love the memes, because it's like Hades is the god of the dead. Thanatos is the god of death. And they always get so confused. And like the memes are just so funny, because it's like everybody forgets about me.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say,
and
like,
he's down there with
because of-
Hecate, and they got a whole ass fucking.
because of Guardians of the Galaxy, I just, when I hear Thanatos,
See, his name is Thanos, but it's so close.
Yep,
They
and
did it on
does
purpose.
it? Yeah, I was gonna say,
because,
like,
yeah, like
it's still where my brain goes.
the
is
big
Guardians
purple
of the
guy.
Galaxy movie.
I
Yep.
actually, you know, the underworld, the thing that I love about the Hellenic underworld is everybody's like, oh, it's Hades and Persephone. No, there's a lot of people down there. Like, you've got Hecate and Thanatos.
Like, I'm curious.
and-
I wonder if Thanatos was adopted into the Greek, like
God,
Hecate was, like, versus being a Greek like Zeus and all the others.
and
like,
that's why
because
they're down
Hecate
there.
came from the east.
Yeah.
I wonder if Thanatos came from somewhere.
I don't know.
I'm curious. I'm
But,
gonna
like-
look into that, because, you know, as somebody connected with death so deeply, like I'm interested.
You should. I love imagining that they're all roommates. And you've got Hades and Persephone, and they're the lovebirds. And then you got Hecate and Thanatos, and they're just like, kill me now. Like, please. I fucking can't. Like,
No, I mean, I get it, because like if you look at the underworld from other pagan what's the word? Not pathology,
Mhm. I get you.
but other mythology. Okay,
Right.
there's the different word, not the one I was looking for, pantheon. That's what I
Mhm.
was looking for, pantheon. But like, so in the in Valhalla, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on, and there's multiple different gods there, not just Odin, but then also down in Nav, the Slavic underworld, like it's like an entire community.
It is.
Veles is down there. He's got cows that Yarilo takes up to the surface and brings back down. Marsana goes there for half the year or all
I
the year,
love that
depending
we're
on the
talking
story.
about the underworld
Yeah.
because where do the plants come from? Under the fucking ground.
Exactly,
And they
which
grow
is-
from dead things.
Exactly.
Which is
So
why
it's all part of the
Persephone-
cycle.
Yes.
Yes. Which is why she's the goddess of the underworld and, the goddess of spring.
Because you need death. You need death to grow. That's why Hades and Persephone are together.
That's why ego deaths
Am
hurt,
I
but
fun-
make
am
us
I
better.
slow? Because I'm just like, hold
No,
on, that
if you
makes
don't
sense.
think about it, you've
Right.
never thought about it.
Exactly.
I work with death, so I think about these things.
Right.
But when you don't, and that's why,
Yeah.
like, that's what I love about the opportunity the show gives, because, like, you bring up things that I've never thought about it from that
Right.
perspective, and I get to bring up things that you haven't thought about from that perspective, because that it makes us more well-rounded. Because if you've never thought about it, how can you think about it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
Like,
it's like,
sometimes you have to have it introduced, and then you get to have your own thought processes.
right,
about it.
because like Persephone is spring. Persephone is everything sprouting. And what do we need for things to sprout? Decay and death, mushrooms, plant.
Mhm.
You have to have, what is it?
You gotta have this. Our entire world, at least, if not
Mhm.
universe, but our entire world, at least, revolves around consumption. We must consume to live.
Right.
Survival requires consumption. So just like we cannot live without eating the plants or the animals that we eat, those animals can't exist without eating the plants or other animals.
And the plants
can't exist without eating us.
It's the circle. It really is,
It
though.
really
I mean,
is.
that's literally what that whole
It's
last
all
song
fucking
is about.
connected.
And that part in The Lion King when he goes, we eat the elk and the elk eat the grass. And when we die, we become the grass. And then it starts,
and that is
literally
why
the
I said the plants eat us, because there's no, they do.
They do.
Unless you get embalmed. Don't get embalmed.
They really do. It's very interesting. And now I'm over here like, man, The Lion King deep.
I'm over here like, did I look like the Kermit the Frog team meme when I was like, don't get embalmed? And then
And I'm so sorry.
no, you're fine. Like in my head, I was like, oh, this is just like the meme. But that's none of my business.
You're doing that, and in my head, I'm like, Mufasa.
Dude, The Lion King. Movie.
It is. So anyway, planting with intention, you can call deities and ask them to bless you. Bless your plants, bless your area, bless your soil. Yes. Oh my gosh.
And so then we move on to the actual planting of the seed, right? You can communicate with your seeds. It's
talk to your plants. They like it.
Yeah,
they really do.
Even before you even put them in the dirt, you can imbue them with energy.
Yes.
You can give them your energy to help them grow. You can give them encouragement. Plants do like it when you talk to them. And I firmly believe, just like we talked to like when I was pregnant and Corey would like talk to my belly, like
that's how it is.
Exactly. That's how it is. So like that seed, like you can wake it up just like in Fern Gully. Sorry.
No, I love it. I love it so much because it's true. And it's like, so when you water your seed, imagine as you're watering this. So like in my head, I'm imagining the water of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just flowing that into there. Before you water your plants, you can bless your water. You can call down the energy of the sun. If you want to work with the sun, I suggest solar energy just personally, because I mean, that's what you're working with. So like you can bless your plants with sun water, and as you're watering, like think about that intention of it growing strong. And you can even use moon water if you want. I just prefer solar water for planting.
Like personally, when it comes to the act of planting the seed, like for me, it is an actual spiritual experience. Like it is very spiritual. I like to do it on Ostara. This year's weather did not allow. The one year that I did starters on Ostara, the rains washed all my starters away.
That sucks.
It was because like I was growing beets. Beet plants are so cute. They're red.
Are they? I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yes, they're so cute. It was this tiny little beet plant, and it had these red little vines. It was so cute. The rains washed it away. Anyway, so I usually just plant directly in the ground without doing a starter first. And as I'm like putting the seeds in, I'm like intentionally thinking about the fact that all of the work I'm putting into the ground is to nourish myself, and not just myself, but my family. And not just that, but I want to nourish the ground by planting plants that hopefully are as close to native as I can with food, because
Oh, they
not
are
everything
red.
they
Sorry.
are. No, you're good. I thought it was so cute. I'm still gonna try again this year. I am. I haven't planted my beets yet, but that's okay because it's okay. It's fine. Like I know some like professional gardeners would tell me I suck, but you know what? I work like a minimum of 1.5 jobs. And that's just my day job is a minimum of 1.5 jobs. So like if I don't plant my beets until 2 weeks from now, I still think that's fucking fine. You know what I mean?
I think
But
so. Don't also, guys, I'm just checking the radar. Please go ahead.
Oh yeah, we've got tornadoes coming. But like as I plant, I am actively asking for the earth mother, for the sky father to bless my crops and to help them be plentiful, because this is sustenance for my family. Even if I can't pay my bills, if I can remain where my garden is, I can provide for my family in some way. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like that's my view on it, and that is when I talk about magical gardening, like that's part of it. Like the whole thing's a spiritual experience
it
for
really
me,
is.
like all the way through. Not just it doesn't end once we put the seed in the ground and then ask for a blessing.
No.
It continues after that
Well, and
when
it
you water
continues
it,
when
like
you-
Maddie
yes.
said.
And then it continues on when you harvest.
Yes,
And that is very important. I think it's always important to remember to thank the plant, to thank the plant, to
I
think,
agree.
to think whoever it was you asked
Mhm.
to bless
Yeah.
your plant.
No,
know?
I agree. Because like, heads up, there's a lovely little lady scientist out there that Roz loves sending me her TikToks, and she seems like a very sweet individual. Obviously, I don't fucking know. She's videos on TikTok, but she's a scientist and she presents like very interesting information. Roz sent me a video that I refuse. I refuse because I already fucking believe that. We talked about it like season 2 or something. Maybe season 1, and you were asking me like, well, how are you supposed to eat plants that way? So she sent me a video that says like plants scream when you pick them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe, and because when you smell cut grass, that is the grass screaming.
It's one of those things you can't think about because you have to eat. Pretty
Right,
much.
exactly, and that's where I'm at. But when Maddie says like thank the plant, you're hurting the plant, and don't use this as an excuse to just be a meat eater. Totally, that's not the point here. The point is that just like we should respect the life of the cow or the deer or the chicken or the turkey or the fish that is feeding us, we should respect the plant that's feeding us enough to communicate with it the whole time we're cultivating it, growing it, letting it know we are growing it to sustain ourselves, but that we will also continue sustaining this plant's line, because you harvest the food for yourself, right? But you save a little bit of the seeds from that plant, right? Now you're letting the plant pass its genes on if you plant some of those seeds, because
assuming you get a plant that you can do that with.
Well, yeah, and that heirloom.
Well, yeah, okay.
No Monsanto. Monsanto is the devil.
I
know that's what you were waiting. Yeah, because I was just like in my head, I was all like, yeah, that's the beautiful thing about having all these heirloom tomatoes that I have, because every year we get volunteers. If you've ever heard about volunteers in a garden, volunteer is when
something just pops up, right?
Well, seeds fell into your garden, and so you just get volunteers the next year. You don't have to plant them. And I have 1 billion volunteer tomato plants that I have decided for my friends. I'm gonna pot them up and give them as gifts, because like they're heirloom little cherry and grape tomatoes.
Oh my god, I love cherry tomatoes.
I know. I was almost gonna be silly and like, but I've already talked. Like I talked to Corey about a week and a half ago about it, and he's like, "Oh, that's a great idea." Because once the plants, get a little bit bigger, I'm gonna get the ones out, because they're gonna so many volunteer tomatoes. And we won't be able to eat them all. They'll crowd out everything else, so we have to get them out of the garden. But I am very against killing plants, because I'm a crazy lady now, and I just have really crazy beliefs at this point. And I can't stand wasting a plant. So I'm like, well, I'm going to pot them up for my friends.
Theodore loves cherry tomatoes. He loves them. I'm gonna give him the last ones I have.
Yeah,
They're
nice.
his favorite.
Well, and hopefully I will give you some plants that produce just as well as they always have over this away. And like, because they go until October. This last year they went
awesome.
until October. That's why I have so many volunteers, because I didn't know they were still producing tomatoes. So a bunch just like fell into the garden.
I saw the funniest video, or I'm sorry, picture on Facebook, and it was this dog standing next to a pumpkin patch, and he ate a pumpkin seed and shit it out, and now they have a full pumpkin patch in their backyard. I've seen the same thing with like corn. Like if they eat corn or something, that's so gross.
But I mean, like, I've got mulberry trees all through my backyard, and it's from birds shitting mulberries.
Oh yeah,
I've got
that's what.
pokeberry
Like I
everywhere
mean,
from
that's
birds.
how things spread.
That-
You know? That's
exactly.
exactly how it is.
It's the way nature takes. And like, so, you know, we talk about magical gardening and like the whole cycle and honoring, you know, talking to your plants and keeping it like encouraging them and giving them your energy. Cause like when we're taking the time to go out there and cultivate those plants, make sure the plants are doing well, because we want them to be healthy so that we in turn are healthy.
Mhm.
That is giving our energy. That is exchanging magical energy with your plants that you're then going to reconsume after it's been transmuted through the vegetable body,
Mhm.
which is a beautiful thing for one. And I can't think of anything healthier. I
Mhm.
mean, I can't think of anything healthier. It's literally like, think about your energy cleansed through the earth and a grounding, right? You always feel so good afterward.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's like the equivalent of eating a salad of grounding.
I actually love that. I love that. So I as a kitchen witch, I love that mentality, because also like a good way to ground would be to eat potatoes or carrots or beets. I'm pretty sure beets do.
Yeah,
Like
they're
things
all
that
root
grow
vegetables.
root
Yeah.
vegetables that grow underground. So like you mentioned that.
How are your carrots doing?
Oh my god, they're doing so well. Dude, above the surface, they're doing so well.
As above, so below.
Yes, yes, yes. They are doing great. So I've got carrots and pots, and then I honestly just have herbs going, except for the peppers.
But that's also magical gardening. Like, we use herbs not only for eating, but for spell work all the time.
Exactly, yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure carrot
And
tops can be
medicine.
used in spell work and medicine. Yes, absolutely. And like, that's important. Like, it's not just herbs, you know, that's medicine. You're growing medicine.
Absolutely. And
health.
And health and food. Like it is food, essentially. It may not be as hearty as a tomato, but it is.
But it has nutrients. Like there are herbs that are like chock full of vitamin A or vitamin K or all these minerals that you wouldn't think, because it's just an herb and we think they're just for flavor. But the flavor comes from the goodness held within the plant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
God damn, we should make that a shirt.
I guess that's sorry. With like a carrot in it or something.
Right?
I love
think
that.
That would be so cute.
I was gonna mention something else that I don't remember.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We were talking about you were saying as a kitchen witch and root vegetables, because I had said you could do grounding
like
salad,
garden witch,
and you said
like garden
vegetables.
magic goes hand in hand with kitchen witchery. It does, obviously, because we're eating everything that most things that we're ingesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, we're talking all about planting herbs and fruits and vegetables and whatever, but there is garden magic when planting flowers.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Because like we don't want to discount people who don't grow food, because that's how I learned about garden witchery in the first place. Is like a witch will always have like was it purple mums, red mums, scarlet mums? No, not scarlet, like red or burgundy. But I love the song Scarlet Begonias. So in my head, it's scarlet mums. And every fall, I don't have a knack for mums.
I don't either. They always die for me. I don't know why. For some reason, and I hate it so much. But, growing flowers have their own properties too.
Yes.
Lavender is a flower. I guess you could also say it's an herb, but it does have its own properties.
Well, and not just that, but it keeps pests away from your other plants.
Exactly. Roses. A lot of people have rose bushes in their yard as well. Even baby trees.
Baby trees.
Yes.
Lilies, jasmine.
Irises.
Well, and you know what? And then there's irises. And then there's the plants that like blackberry, right?
Mhm.
It's got the fruit, it's got the flower, it's got the leaves, it's got the root. We use the leaves and the root
Mhm.
for medicinal teas.
Right.
The fruit itself is used for food, and the flower can be used for magical purposes as well as you can
Mhm.
probably make a tea out of them. But like there's so much that goes into all the different plants
Mhm.
that we can use magically, whether you're going to ingest them or not. They have their
Right.
own properties that can
Disclaimer:
be
some
used.
flowers are poisonous.
Yes,
Don't make a
don't
tea out of like lily of the valley or tiger lily or things like that.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
your own
Do your
research.
research,
Lavender's
yeah.
edible. Rose is edible. Lily is not.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's another one poisonous. I can't even think. But you know what's a really good flower? Lilac.
Mm.
That shit is floral.
Hyacinth smells like sugar. It's
I
like
love hyacinth. It's my favorite flower. If
grape hyacinth makes me drool. I want to eat them. I
They're my
just want to
favorite.
shove it in my mouth. I bet you can eat it.
you
actually.
can make lemonade with it.
Yes, you
Yes.
can. God, that shit just. I love the way it smells. It's
so
gorgeous.
wonderful. I do love it.
And like, so when you're gardening magically, in addition to just the process, right? Like the whole process that we talked about at the beginning,
Mhm.
then there's the setup of your plants. Like, for instance, there's the Three Sisters setup from Native American culture where you plant corn along with squash and beans. Now, the three plants give off different nutrients to each other in the
Mhm.
root system below ground. Then above ground, they work together by the corn stalk provides the squash and the beans a structure to grow up.
Mhm.
So below ground and above ground, they have a symbiotic relationship and they're really giving a whole cycle, right?
Mhm.
And flowers can do the same thing with each other, not just from the perspective of giving off the different chemicals, but certain flowers work really well together because these flowers will give these flowers shade and that makes them both grow better. And not only that, but from a magical perspective, you can do your research
Mhm.
and you can set up your garden bed in a way that your garden has a symbiotic relationship with itself and your household.
Mhm.
So, like, let's say from a protection perspective, you can choose specific plants and plant them in specific manners where they will protect each other and, through their very vibrational essence, provide protection to the perimeter of your home at
Mhm.
the same time.
Mhm.
And I mean, like, to me, that's just as much as magical gardening.
Oh, it
as,
absolutely is.
you
It
know,
absolutely is.
like,
If you're going to plant flowers, make sure you do research because there are some flowers that cannot grow with one another.
yes.
You know, you wouldn't want to plant. I don't fucking know.
Well, and do your research because you also
know.
you wouldn't want to plant two lookalikes near each other where one is healthy for consumption and one is not,
Exactly.
because you or somebody else could get confused
Exactly.
and wind up poisoning yourself.
Right. And you don't want to plant a vine plant next to a plant that's not a vine plant because, like, for example, I saw a picture of like this plant and it was a vine creeping plant, but it was going from its pot to another pot. You know what I mean?
I have the guilty look because I very much like
Oh, I'm so sorry.
let my garden do its natural thing. No,
Uh-huh.
right. Corey was like, if your morning glories choke my blackberries out again this year, I'm gonna rip them all up.
Oh,
So what I
no.
did was, as I cleaned my garden out, I caught as many seeds from my morning glories as I could, so they didn't go in that garden bed, and I actually put them over on Shelby's cairn.
Oh.
So I'm hoping the morning glories
That
would
would be
grow
beautiful.
out of her.
That would be very. Morning glories are one that's very like gonna
They are.
attach to anything.
They are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Which is why they're great to put with lattice work or near a fence.
Yes.
You know, there's all, and I did actually, I sprinkled a lot of the seeds along my fence line because I'm kind of hopeful that they'll grow up and block the dogs seeing stuff to bark at.
Yeah, that would be great.
Purpose.
They're like my grandmother has a lattice fence up, and then she has morning glories up, and that's where she used to smoke weed when it was illegal because nobody could see. And I can say that now because it ain't illegal anymore in our state.
Yep. Nope. I love that because, like,
That
yes.
was exactly what she used her morning
Yeah,
glories
no, that's
for.
a genius. I
Privacy.
love it. That's great. Yeah. And I love morning glories. They are like I have a morning glory tattooed on me. Like that.
I
That
feel
blue
like
one
there's
is a
another
morning
one like
glory.
morning glories that is kind of
There's a
what
lot that
invasive,
are like
but not
creepers.
invasive.
Right. Well, like
They'll invade.
they will take
they'll
over.
creep. Yes.
Yeah. Plants want their own survival. They
Right.
want their survival for their genes to carry on.
Right.
So and that's where we're talking about the symbiotic piece, right? Because if you plant things together, like something that's structural, like structurally sound, and something that will creep up it, that's okay. But if you put morning glories and sunflowers together,
oh, they're gonna creep up.
they're gonna well, they're not just gonna creep up, but the sunflower stalk is hollow, so they're gonna pull it over.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like with trees, you know, like if there's a vine up a tree, but you don't want to pull the. I know.
And it's nature, right? And that's where I give the guilty smile because I let nature take over my garden. I really do. Like it starts out being planted by a human, but it very much quickly becomes its own natural little ecosystem.
Mhm.
And there are actually ways of gardening that's exactly like this. And there have been studies that have found that when you plant a garden in a way where the plants just naturally work together and they're not all in rows separated from each other, whatever, like the plants do better, the soil does better, and it's better for the overall environment.
Right.
Like, actually, okay, not related, but totally cool to know. So, you know how we've been getting warmer and warmer and warmer temperatures, right? They've been, I saw this TikTok where this guy was talking about how, like, the deforestation that happened when America was originally colonized, the lack of forest land is part of why we're having so much heat, right?
Yeah,
and he showed this like map of the United States where in the southeast they have for like the last 80 years or something been working on reforestation. So they have a lot more, like Alabama or something is apparently 70% forest now.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's fucking awesome.
That is awesome.
But it's way cooler because of all the trees, not just the shade that the trees put off, but also through the act of like trees breathing the way trees breathe. They also apparently sweat in a way that cools the area around the tree within X amount of radius. So like plant trees in cities. Like it's
seriously, guys. Plant fruit trees in cities.
Plant fruit trees in cities where anybody, especially homeless people, can access them.
Unhomed people.
Unhomed.
No,
people.
I'm sorry. I know you said that last time, and
Yeah.
I wasn't like, wow, Amber. I was like, I remember you saying I specifically am trying to use.
Yes,
this
I
term.
am because I don't want to be offensive, and most likely it's not their fucking fault. It's
right. I'm trying to do it as well. You inspired me.
I appreciate you. Yeah, because like cleaning up the area where those unhomed people were living, like, or unhoused people. I'm sorry.
Is it unhoused or unhomed?
I was saying unhomed until I realized like they have a home.
Right.
It's that community. It's unhoused. Yes. And again, we're trying to be, I don't want to say considerate because that's not the right word, but accurate. Right. Because they are unhoused. They have a home. Their home is in the woods or wherever they may exist because that's where their home is until they have another home. But they're unhoused because they don't have a house to live in. But like their area was so nice. They kept it so clean. And it really upset me that the people around were blaming them for like trashing nature. But like, they're just trying to live their life. And so is anybody else who's unhoused. And fruit trees in cities would help so much
with so many multiple beneficial.
Yes, because not just unhoused people. Children being able to like just snack on something healthy. Yes. Exactly. And it helps the parents too, because maybe they need to snack on the fruit from the tree because you can't afford food or you live in a food desert. But there wouldn't be food deserts if we planted trees in cities.
Exactly. On that note, is there anything else you want to say?
I feel like, I mean, I could go more in depth on a lot of things I did say, but I mean, they're just ideas to inspire you. Like, look into night gardens. That's fucking cool and magical as shit.
They are super cool.
They are. And like, okay, I will say one more thing. Just keep in mind, native plants. Always keep in mind native plants. Educate yourself enough to understand the difference and why native might be better than what you're thinking about. With food, we understand, it's slightly different. Keep in mind invasive things like Maddie talked. Did you talk about in this episode? I can't remember.
I don't think I did.
But keep in mind invasive things, especially as you're planting your things, right? Keep in mind, whatever you are planting, the pollinators and other insects are going to utilize in some way, shape, or form. You can do whatever the fuck you want, and I'm not telling you what to do. But from a magical gardening perspective, I would say pesticides are probably the least likely thing you should use in your magical garden, because unless you have a poison garden full of belladonna and hemlock, then I would imagine you're trying to grow life, not death. So why would you kill the things that use your garden for life?
Also, if you if you use pesticides, it's no longer organic.
Yep.
Like, it's not, you can't say I grew this organic shit in my backyard, because it's not. It's just homegrown.
Absolutely not. And there are options, like you get aphids, get ladybugs. Like my husband and I are buying a bag of ladybugs because we have aphids on our apple tree.
Well, I think I read alcohol and water will get rid of like a type of spider or something. So you just spritz your plants, it leaves the plant just fine, but it gets rid of the spider.
Neem oil. Neem is an actual plant, and the oil from it is a bug repellent for like aphids and other things that might eat your plants. And I'm not telling you what to do, but we've already established I'm crazy and my beliefs have vastly shifted in the past 5 years. So I am going to say that if you're a witch and you're growing plants and you're killing the insects that want to live off of your plants, like, maybe examine why you're killing things that are just existing in nature. I don't know. Like, I don't know the right way to say this, because I am specifically talking more like decorative things than food plants, because I understand why you would want to keep pests out of your food plants, but there are natural options for that, right? Versus just, again, there are spiders you can put in your garden to keep the unwanted shit out of your garden. You can put ladybugs in to keep the unwanted shit out. Some people want ladybugs out. It's all about
planting beneficial things together, like you said earlier.
Yes, exactly. And thank you, because like that was the last thing I wanted to say is, when you put the certain things at the edge of your garden, you'll keep all the pests out. Like if you put onions and garlic and lavender and citronella at the edges of your food, you'll keep pests out. And if you're killing stuff because it likes your flowers, I understand that flowers are pretty, but how are you helping the life cycle? And that is me being preachy, and I'm not going to apologize for it, because we kill off the bugs. You know who's going to die in some amount of time because of killing off the bugs? And that is all I have to say about that.
Well, I think that was a really fun episode. And I want to say thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Why don't you throw us a comment that's your favorite flower? Let us know what your favorite flower or herb or fruit or vegetable to plant is.
Yes. And if you would like to find us on the socials, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Witches Talking Tarot, as well as patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Victoria.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, Death by DVD.
We're also on X at Classiest Witches, because we are the classiest witches, you know. Sitting with us for a spell, y'all.
Bye.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber. And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the Weird Optimistic.
Like a song, like a Santa snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.